Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are watching this from. Welcome back, welcome back. We are here with some more amnesia, but before that, because Mr. Cyber Actors from yesterday's stream redeemed Read Me Senpai. And he redeemed it for one of his books. If you haven't, if it's at your store, or if you're in South Africa and you've been to like an exclusive books or the bargain books or any bookstore in South Africa that it's currently at. Otherwise, you can also get it on Amazon. The book is called Inheritors of Power. Very, very lovely book. I've read it once. I've helped a little bit here and there because I think it's a pretty good book. Also, not sponsored. Gotta just say that. But yes, if you like Greek stuff, a little bit of a re-envisioning of it in a modern day society. If you like gods, if you like a little bit of the geeky stuff, I really recommend it. It's kind of similar to. I don't want to put it in expectation because it's not the same. Also, there we go. Actually, yeah. You know what? Yeah, there we go. We'll keep it like this. It is not Percy Jackson. It is similar, but it is not. I'm just giving a feel. I'm not giving any expectations to it because it's its own thing. It's way different, and it's somewhat refreshing to take in the story and to see how the Greek gods are actually portrayed in today's modern standards with today's sort of society, I would say. But yeah. All right. We're gonna start like in a bit. What I actually want to do is, because we're gonna be reading, I don't want music to over. I don't want it to be. Can it be problematic? Big sad. Yes, hello, cyber actors. Welcome, welcome. Was just speaking about your book. Also, give yourself a shout out. Check out this man. A very amazing. He does some streams from time to time. Currently busy, as writers are. But yeah, we're gonna get ready for some good times in this book. Now, I will not be reading the whole book. It's only gonna be chapter 1, which is. Let me just see how. About like 10 pages? 15 pages? Let me just see. Yeah, roughly about, 20 pages. So, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get cozy for some book reading stuff. And let me just get the stuff ready. Also, Mr. Cyber Actors. Is this sounding pretty alright for you? Do you want a particular voice, or do you want somebody to narrate it in a very seductive way, I would say? All good. Okay. Don't want to waste too much time. Just read it in the way you enjoy. Alright, I guess I shall. Well, if there are female characters, I do apologize if I butchered them.
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm
still a piece of garbage. 2 years. Thank you. Bless you. Bless this man. Thank you for using the Prime. I appreciate the support, man. All good, all good. All right. Without further ado, let us go into it. Chapter 1 of Inheritors of Power. Cal's Guide to Resurrecting the Dead. From the perspective of Cal. The moment 4 of the Olympian Guard showed up at my university, I realized that I was going to have an annoying day. They arrived in a blaze of glory and strike of lightning. Zeus and Poseidon stood fully decked out in their togas, holding a lightning bolt and trident. Hera also wore her toga, but didn't carry a divine weapon capable of mass destruction. You should totally save this VOD and post it online. I should, actually. I should. I'll edit it. I'll edit it and upload it to YouTube. and like various places on TikTok. Various clips on TikTok. But yes, I will. Thank you for the suggestion. It was like the three of them were just demanding attention. At least Hestia had the common sense to dress like a normal human being and try not to draw too much attention to herself. However, with her siblings posing like JoJo characters, she could not escape the glances in her direction. And yes, I'm going to have dramatic pauses here and there. I want to make it sound ominous here and there. I should just read it how I want to, which is like fun. As I stood there, I was actually tempted to throw fire in their faces and ruin their pristine entrance. Or at the very least, burn that stupid look off of Zeus' face. But I ultimately decided against it. I would cause way too many complications, especially considering that all the students and lecturers in this vicinity would see me throw fire from my hands. I realized as I explained this that maybe I jumped the gun a bit. So let's go back a few days where my part of this story began. Firstly, some introduction. My name is Cal Knight, and for as long as I can remember, I have powers. Yes, you read that correctly. Ever since I was a little kid, I have had the power to produce and manipulate fire and do incredible things with said fire. Ominous Inheritors of Powers Volume 1? There's no ominous in that book. Hey, let me do the character introductions, good sir. I know you're the writer, but like, let me do it from a performance, from a narrator's perspective. Excuse you. I suppose it started after reading my first book, a story about a phoenix and how it would rise and fall from flames, as phoenixes typically do. The book wasn't anything special, really, just a kid's picture book about never giving up, just told using the mythology of the phoenix. When I read the book, it inspired me. Past tense. When I read the book, it inspired me like no other picture book had. As a brat, I found the idea of the phoenix rising up again and again, no matter how many times, so enduring that 1 week after reading the book, I learned how to do what phoenixes could do. It was a fun birthday where instead of blowing out the candles, I nearly set the house on fire. After that, fire was mine to command as if I was the graceful bird from my childhood fiction. My control of a fire didn't stop there. Being similar to that of a phoenix, I discovered at some point that I could control two types of fire: flames of destruction and flames of restoration. Flames of destruction need no introduction. Hey, that rhymed. Yes, for those I'm going to give a little bit of context. I will do that a little bit more in this book as we go through some terminologies or phrases. So, the story takes place in South Africa. I'm not going to say where in South Africa, but it takes place in South Africa. So, there are going to be linguistic things that do need some explanation, or terminologies that just need a little bit of it just needs to get the knowledge out. So, in South Africa, there is a word awe, spelled the same way as awe, A-W-E, which basically means alright, or hello in some cases, or okay. So, there's that. Or this is like a bit surprise. So, continuing on. They were the flames, typically red, that acted like fire normally would. Feed it and it grows. Leave it unchecked and burn down a forest. The flames of restoration were the plot twist. You probably already guessed that the flames, typically blue, could heal both myself and others. I discovered this nifty little trick when I was 9. My younger brother Tucker foolishly thought that super strength meant invulnerability. Also, yes, Tucker had powers too. More on that later. My little dumbass of a brother wanted to prove that nothing could hurt him, and stupidly grabbed a knife and plunged it into his leg. He will deny it until the end of his days, but the brat started crying immediately. I started freaking out, and before I knew what I was doing, I summoned the flames of restoration and healed him. We wisely decided to keep this a secret from our parents. To this day, they still think he tripped over his own tail, which caused him to scratch his leg and start crying. So the discovery of my powers and their capabilities were interesting revelations, but it didn't really stop there. Initially, I appeared to be the only person with powers, at least as I was aware. Oh. You won't say where, but I will. Cal's university and apartment is somewhere on the coast of South Africa, but his family home and younger siblings in Johannesburg. Exactly. Let the writer tell. It's not my place to tell. I'm only telling uh, some of the phrases and stuff. I'm not spoiling any narrative things. I'm just reading the book. You can tell. You have full rights to do that. But anyways, my parents and I, mostly my parents because I was too young, scoured news sources, religious readings, and evolution seminars to find out if there were any more people like me. They were met with unconfirmed reports, nothing concrete that would indicate other superpowered individuals. No Christians were talking about the second coming of Jesus being a black kid with powers of fire. No scientists talked about the next stage of human evolution being found in children who could manipulate the four elements. As far as we were concerned, I might have been the first human to ever have powers like this, or that we were aware of. At least that was until my younger siblings joined the family with their own share of powers. Now, we made all these revelations when I was a kid, between my 5th and 10th birthday. I turned 10 just over 12 years ago. So I had enough time to gain proficiency in my powers. Not that my powers have ever been too hard to master, despite the unpredictable and chaotic nature of fire. My flames have never really been too difficult to control. As a general rule, I like to keep my powers secret. As a kid, I watched too many cartoons, movies, and anime where the kid with powers get experimented on by the government. I wasn't sure if that would happen to me, so better safe than sorry. Obviously, a few people had managed to see my powers over the years, but most were friends and decided to keep them secret. And that brings me to a few days ago when this mess with the Olympic Pantheon arguably started. That day, I confirmed something I had suspected about my powers. It was your regular day. The sun was shining, birds were singing, and the other students were trying to figure out how to handle the remaining semester. As I exited my lecture hall, I spotted fewer students than normal hanging around. Since it was winter, very few people actually sat at the stone benches and tables. With the end of the term approaching, most students were neck-deep in assignments. As a result, there weren't as many students hanging around after the class as there would usually be. Good news about that being that there wasn't the overwhelming scent of weed and cigarettes. Oh, I lost my place. I was looking up and now I can't find my place. There we go. Don't get the wrong idea. It didn't mean that the scent wasn't there. It just wasn't that potent. Unlike most other students, I'd already completed my assignments ahead of time. So I had some free time. I strongly considered opening my page back up for a commission so that I wouldn't be bored. Oh, I should probably explain that to you. This is Cal explaining, not me explaining. Not only was I the master of the flames, but also a student studying animation. I was specifically a 3D animator, but I dabbled in some 2D art for commissions. Regardless, it would be a while before I had commissions anyway, so my afternoon was free to be spent in anyway. I wanted. Sometimes I just read an unnecessary dot. Oh joy, the boring curse of free time. I decided to go get myself a good meal. I had some extra money, which I could use to spoil myself, and I didn't feel like cooking. Choice was my ally today, as a new shopping center near my campus had been completed recently. It had a wide variety of restaurants for me to choose from. Not me reading along in my copy as you read. Hey, nice! Nice. Once again, if you haven't, go check on Amazon. Inheritors of Power, Volume 1. Or, if you're in South Africa, go to your nearest exclusive books. Not sponsored. So what does a college kid get himself when hunger strikes and money is in abundance? Fast food, of course. Ascended Burgers was open and convenient enough that I could head there and enjoy a quality meal and have money left to spare. Ascended Burgers was in the underground food court in the shopping center. With the shopping center being brand new, it meant I wouldn't have to worry about the lunchtime rush as there was barely anyone inside. Could I ask for a better place? Yes, I could, because the other restaurants didn't have people on their deathbeds. Yes, totally not sponsored. Thank you for the link. Check that out. There are different editions to it. I recommend getting the illustrated version, as you can see a little bit more of the characters and you know, get to know them a little bit more from from a design perspective. Because that's the one I have, is the illustrated version. Anyways. Okay, it's not fair to say that Ascended Burgers had people on their deathbeds. The old lady was close enough to Ascended Burgers that it was inevitable that I would encounter her. And knowing what I know now about the world, I likely would have encountered someone on their deathbed because the universe loves pushing people to their destiny, quote unquote. Screw you, universe, and how dare you use a sweet old lady? You get no pity points from me. Sorry, I got ahead of myself again. As I approached Ascended Burgers, I saw a woman, older than life, but happy to have lived it. Okay, she wasn't that old. She was likely only in her mid-70s. I still felt that she had lived a life she had enjoyed. There was this energy and positivity about her that I couldn't help but admire. However, I couldn't explain it, but something was off about her. The energy she exuded felt like it was veiled behind a cloud of regret. Regret? That was what I felt from her. Something in her life wasn't complete, and it hung around her like a fog. What happened next was haunting. My sense of hearing became incredibly sharp, and I could hear what was supposed to be the rhythmic beating of a heart. The old lady's heartbeat was incredibly irregular and too fast. It almost felt like her heart would literally explode. The amount of medical knowledge I had was extremely limited, but I felt a warm sensation as my brain filled with sudden knowledge. This wasn't a heart attack, at least not one likely to end up lethal, nor was it the sudden cardiac death. Both had a chance of recovery if medical attention was administered quickly enough. As I saw a purple and black fog visible only to me, I could almost tell that this felt magical, like an instant death that would be written off as an unfortunate heart collapse or something. Suddenly, food was the last thing on my mind. This lady was dying with great regret, and I needed to help her. Consequences be damned. A blue flame came alight in my hand as I rushed towards her. The old lady collapsed before I could reach her. As she fell over, I felt her heart burst from some unknown force. I couldn't feel her pain, however, I knew it was there. By the time I had reached her, my hand was completely covered in the flames of restoration. I placed my hand on her chest and released the flames, allowing them to flow over her body. Unfortunately, the flames of restoration didn't feel particularly restorative today. Yeah, I said that right? Restorative? Restorative? Potato? Is that kind of the situation? I like to say restorative. Anyways, the cloud remained, and death held its hold on the woman. Although I was focused on the woman, I noticed that the figure within the death had its eyes on me. It was almost as if he was asking what I would do and how I would do it. And I'm not gonna lie to say I knew the correct thing to do, but somehow I knew the correct thing to do. Kind of. For the past couple of years, I felt that my powers probably had some connection to life and death, but I had never been able to verify it. In high school, a kid in my class had committed suicide, and somehow I knew the day it happened a week before they announced it at the school. When my younger sister Summer was considering suicide, I detected her feelings and sorrowed despite not having the power of telepathy. I also had a tendency to know when people were pregnant before they knew. And with my power seemingly being similar to that of a phoenix, it didn't seem out of the realm of possibility. So as I stared at this old lady who could only be dead now, felt possibilities well up within me. My left arm became engulfed in the flames of destruction as I attempted something impossible. The flames of destruction and the flames of restoration come together to form the flames of life! I spoke as I brought my hands together. I hope that is good voice acting for your character, because that's the first words he says. The rest is just me narrating. Anyways. Now, what do you get if you mix red and blue? Any art student will tell you that you get purple. Not in my case. The fire burnt a bright yellow, almost gold. Now, I admit being my own son was super cool, but I did have more pressing issues than the color of my flames. I let the flames of life. I let the flames of life wash over the old lady, and for the first time since encountering her, I felt her death being pushed far away. Death lost its hold on her, and life returned. All that medical knowledge that I knew also vanished. I couldn't hear her heart anymore, but I could tell it was beating. Before too long, the flames faded, and the old lady lay on the ground, breathing as if she were just asleep. And I was sitting on my butt, the left sleeve of my t-shirt and hoodie completely burnt away. My brain was racing at the sheer impossibility of the task I had just accomplished. Holy shit! I guess that answers that, I muttered. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm just going through pages because this is the illustrated version, so yeah, just going through that. Continuing on. So the old lady's name was Eleanor. The sweet old thing meeting with her granddaughter today at Ascended Burgers. She never got to spend time with her own daughter and son-in-law before they died, so she would spend as much time with her granddaughter as possible. Interesting tidbit. That incantation, Flames of Destruction, at introduction. It's a reference to fairy tale, where Natsu uses the Dragon Slayer's secret art. Some useful trivia for you all. I also did not know that. Actually, no, I should have actually known that. I've watched a couple of fairy tale episodes. It's just been so long. Nice little tidbit, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cyberactors. Continuing on. She had been on her way when death reared its ugly head, and had it not been for me, she wouldn't have made it to the restaurant. I tried to brush it off, saying that I didn't do anything special. My argument fell apart when she remembered me using my powers to bring her back to life. I couldn't argue with her. Because I had done exactly that, she promised not to tell anyone. Not that anyone would believe her. I was lucky Eleanor was so understanding and that no one had actually seen what I did. I don't know how, as I was my own personal supernova for a solid minute there. But I knew not to look a gift horse in the mouth, so I didn't question it much. Maybe the universe was on my side. It wasn't. Shortly after leaving Eleanor with her granddaughter and grabbing 3 massive burgers for myself, don't judge me. Resurrecting the dead takes a lot of energy, apparently. I figured that I had enough excitement for a day, so the plan was to head home. No plan survives first. Contact with the enemy. Wow, that my brain sometimes my brain go too fast. My eyes too fast. Mouth not catch up. As soon as I exited Ascended Burgers, I could feel eyes on me. And it didn't take particularly long to find out who was staring at me so intently. He was a ghost, sitting on one of the benches as if it were his throne. It was an adult male who looked somewhere between 30 and 60. I know that doesn't make sense, but he looked like an immortal whose immortality was catching up to him. He looked like the apex of gothic masculinity, with the body of an Olympic athlete, but the fashion sense of a mid-2000s edgelord. He had a bald head and a neatly maintained ashen beard, and eyes that couldn't decide on the color. His skin was pale, not because he was a ghost, but because he looked like he didn't get enough sunshine. I'm not gonna lie, it felt weird how calm I was in the space of a haunted soul. I don't think I had ever seen a ghost before in my life, so being calm around this one was strange, to say the least. The ghost rose from his seat and approached me. He was ridiculously tall, approximately 2.25 meters tall. For the Americans out there, that's about 9 feet? Yeah, about 9 feet. I'm hoping that's correct. It should be 9 feet, right? You know what? Screw it. 8 or 9 feet. Somebody do the math on that. His eyes studied me as if he were a coach evaluating his next trainee. His eye color settled for a second, green, as he decided that he approved of the superpowered kid in front of him. He chuckled so deeply that it shook the earth below me. I'm not joking. It literally felt like caverns underneath the earth shook as he laughed. The shadows in the area also moved towards him as he laughed, only to recede to their normal position when he chuckled. 7'3". Thank you. What's the matter, boy? Surprised to see a ghost? He asked. I decided then and there that I didn't like this ghost. Don't call me boy, I responded flatly. I'm not surprised that I'm talking to a ghost. He released another chuckle. I had to do that. I'm sorry. It was a 4 on the Richter scale. Given who you are, speaking with ghosts will become a common occurrence, he said. Introductions. I am Hades. Although my time has passed, you will want to remember my name well. I'm sorry, what? Now I was shocked. Hades. As in the Greek god of death. Former god of death, Hades answered nonchalantly, as if he didn't just shake up the core foundations of agnosticism that had grown up believing. Now, I am just a ghost, visibly only to the new death god. The thing is, I believed him. Didn't need to pull out an ID that said certified Greek god. I didn't need to run a DNA test and confirm that he wasn't human. I knew he was a god. Well, former god. I don't know how I knew, but Wait a minute. What do you mean only visible to the new death god? I exclaimed. Hades quickly chuckled again. Apparently, I was this ghost's personal comedian. You, Kalusha Knights, are the inheritor of my power and a new god of death, Hades announced. Excuse me! Your Hades voice is hilarious, considering I told you that I wanted Keith Silverstein to voice him based on his role as Zhongli. So I'm hearing your interpretation. Hey man, I can't do Zhongli. I mean, I could try. You, Kalusha. Wait, deeper. You, Kalusha Knights, are the inheritor of my power, and the new god of death. That's as much as I can do, my guy. Osmanthus wine.
Osmanthus wine tastes the same as I remember.
You, Kalusha Knights, are the inheritor of my power, and a new god of death. I mean, yeah, it's also because, yeah, I can't do deep American accents, unfortunately. And yes, that is the end of the chapter 1. And as much as I'm going to be reading, because anymore, you're gonna have to pay up.